Hi, this is Timothy Morgan for Nebraska City Mayor. I'm a candidate for 2024. I am running this audio file, so no, there is nothing wrong with your televisions or computers, your screens. I am sitting here discussing the history of Nebraska City with Jill Morgan, my wife, for the last 28 years. We are both visually challenged, both homeowners, both registered to vote, and taxpayers. There has been a lot of changes in Nebraska City for history, and some was for the good, and they took it away. It seems like if it's going to benefit the town, they're going to take it away. But if it's going to benefit our city government, then, well, it stays. And it shouldn't be that way. But looking at the history of Nebraska City, besides everybody knows Nebraska City by Arbor Lodge, J. Sterling Morton, and the planting of the trees, and Arbor Day. I encourage people to come out and check out the town, because we have the Whispering Bench, which is really, really cool, where somebody sits on one side of the bench and somebody sits on the other side of the bench and whispers, and you can hear it just like they were talking to you on one side or the other. Now that's cool to check out. The lodge, Arbor Lodge, is free to check out, I believe, if you live in Nebraska City, as well as the Fire Museum, Lewis and Clark Museum, the Windmill Museum, the Pony Express Museum, Lewis and Clark, many, 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 many museums, the art galleries. Anyway, but we also have a lot of activities going on throughout the year. Arbor Day, the 4th of July celebration, we have music in the park, we have ice cream social, we have the JC's put on a firework display, we have the summer music festival, and then we got Applejack, Living History Days, and then we got some activities Chamber of Commerce puts on through Nebraska City for the holiday season, Christmas. So we have Lemon Days as well. But Joe and I we're sitting here discussing how this town is full of history, and the city government seems like they're pulling it away. I thought when I moved to Nebraska City in 1979, and I graduated in 1992, I thought I knew everything about Nebraska City. Well, ding dong, I was wrong. What'd you think when you started the school?
When I started the state school,
to the point you graduated, do you think you knew everything about the history of Nebraska City?
Yeah, I thought so.
So, I was proven wrong, and Jill was proven wrong.
Yeah.
But, for instance, people in the community don't even know the school exists on 10th Street and 10th Avenue as Nebraska School for the Visually Handicapped, which is now, what is it?
Nebraska Center for the Education of Children who are blind or visually impaired.
So, that has so much history in it from the 1800s all the way up to present. From, my goodness, I don't have enough time to go into all of it, but the school still has some original buildings on it, on the property. The garages were original, the apple cellar, and the boys' gym, which is the maintenance shop now. But the school also had an apple orchard for the students to go pick apples and to, I think they could sell the apples too, as well, throughout the community, if I remember right.
Yeah.
But anyway, so from 1800 something to 1973, I want to say 74, was the old school. We even learned about the three sisters that came from the western part of Nebraska, which was the first ones to attend the school. At that time was the Institute for the Blind. And we had the founder of our school, Samuel Bacon, is that right?
Yeah.
Who was blind as well. And looking through the history books of the school, Samuel Bacon was known to be on the roof, blind, and making sure everything was nailed down and roofing was done correctly. You wouldn't catch me up there on a roof, even though I'm low vision. But now, to go on a little bit more about the school, when we were taking music class, there was something that popped up in our class that made Jill excited. And what happened?
Well, we got to do musical programs, and I noticed that there were rooms where kids could take piano lessons, 3 practice rooms, each with a piano, so that students could practice the piano.
But when we were go up to the state capitol and sing before the senators and the governor,
Yeah.
we, besides singing Irish songs, what was there a certain song that stuck out in your mind that just kind of hit you about the school?
Yeah, not just a living, but a life.
That was a great song. It was written by two blind sisters. And what is so sad about the whole matter is when we went to the centennial, what was it, their 150th?
I think so.
Something like that. And they were performing different songs, and they wrote a song for the school presently. I asked them if we could sing as a group, and the alumni could sing the school song. Our superintendent, the director of the school, totally, I felt, spaced me off. So I went out to her after again and says, can we sing the school song? She says, we do not have a school song. And I continued to tell her, yes, we do. We have the song that was written by two sisters, and it was called Not Just a Living But a Life. That is so sad that through the years, from 1992, 93, somewhere in there, to present, and that was, 5 years ago?
Yeah.
They forgot that we had a school song.
That was sad.
That song was not just words of wisdom, but that was also the history of our school, and that just upset me.
It upset me too.
So that started out being my history downer. But we did have some great visitors. We had a couple governors visit the school and sit down and visit with Joe and the students and I. And Joe got the honor of giving a tour of the dorms?
Yes, the dorms.
And who was the honored governors?
Kay Orr and Bob Carey.
Want to say thank you for taking your time out. Those two taking time out to come and visit the school. Right?
Right.
They didn't have to do that.
No, they didn't.
I'm very glad they did.
So am I.
Now, continuing, that school has so much history in it. It's probably just got as much history in it as Arbor Lodge and John Brown's Cave, Mayhew's Cavern, Wildwood Park, Period House. But going on to more of the disappointment of Nebraska City. When we were in school, we had the trolley. And it was like a transportation, right?
Right.
Like a bus.
Yeah.
And this is where I thought I knew everything, but I found out I did not. Went through, you get on the trolley, used to get on the trolley, and they gave you the history of Nebraska City. And the tours, basically it was a tour of Nebraska City. Where the Arbor Day logo, that big oak tree, was down on the farms, Arbor Day Farms. They pointed that out. The racing horse Applejack, it was stationed in the barns down here. There's a lot of history. And the more and more we took it, how'd you feel?
Well, the more and more that we took the trolley around town, I feel like we learned more about the history of Nebraska City.
And we got to meet visitors and got to meet friends, and every time we got on the trolley, it was like getting on a bus with family.
Yeah, I agree.
So gradually, in 4 or 5 years or so, they took the trolley away and sold it to the Lead Center. Wow, that just killjoy right there. How is people gonna visit Nebraska City and learn everything that they taught on the trolley? They're just going to come into Nebraska City and they're just going to go downtown, and they're not really going to know the history of Arbor Day and Applejack and Mayhew's Cavern, and
They're gonna miss out on a lot of history.
so how do you feel about the trolley coming and then going?
Well, I feel that when the trolley used to be up and going, it was a good way for people who don't drive to get from place to place and meet other people and learn about the history of Nebraska City.
So it was a good thing
Yes, it was a good thing.
all the way around.
It was a good, positive thing.
It connected people.
Yes, it connected people with other people.
Okay. Now, that disappeared.
I know.
So then what went on with your mind then?
Well, I didn't like it when the trolley stopped going because I felt like people were missing out on learning about the history of Nebraska City. And it seemed like people weren't getting together as much as they used to when the trolley was going.
Okay. So now the trolley only runs for Christmas, Tour of Lights, and what else?
Well, there's a Tour of Lights.
And then people can use it for $100, can rent it out to shuttle them around.
Yeah.
But in the last couple of years with COVID, all it's done is basically to sit around.
I know, it hasn't really done anything.
Okay. So that was a decision made by the city council. Give me your viewpoints about that.
Well, I don't like that decision made by the city council. Because, like I said, it seems like people are missing out on learning about the history of Nebraska City and the chance to meet other people. And the people who don't drive in this town are missing out on a chance to have a way to get around.
So, okay. We're supposed to be a historical town. Now, I know we're low vision, but are you seeing that the storefronts are staying like they were in the old days, or what are they doing?
Well, it seems like the stores that are downtown, some of them are vacant because it seems like they're going south of town. They're all heading south of town.
And how do you feel about that being visually challenged?
I don't like that because me being visually challenged, I don't drive. So I'd like to be able to walk more places here in town.
So what's our transportation like now? Do we have any?
Well,
Besides family and friends.
Besides family and friends, there's the handy bus.
That's Monday through Friday.
But that's Monday through Friday. And we used to have the taxi. I don't know if we still do have a taxi. But we used to have a taxi. But I don't know if it's up and going.
So transportation is limited here in town. Mainly on weekends.
Right. Unless it's with family or friends.
Right. Okay, going on a little more of the history. Arbor Lodge is going strong. You have the Wildwood House, Period House, and you have the Fire Museum, you have Lewis and Clark, you have the World War museums, right? They're all going great. Now, there's one place of business, museum, that very well upsets me, and I know it's a very, very hot subject with people in Nebraska City because it's been closed down for so long. But it's the Mayhew Cavern or John Brown's Cave.
Yeah.
The city made the decision to close it down because it was their fault, because they didn't do the drainage right and it flooded. If I understood everybody right.
Yes, that's correct.
So that is a big history of Nebraska City. People, the Underground Railroad.
Yeah.
People come into town, they don't want to see a building, a museum like that.
No.
They want to come in and go through it and tour it.
And enjoy it.
Right.
And that's the way it should be.
But I know that the historical place gives Nebraska City's funding for the upkeep of the different museums, but they're refusing to acknowledge or to help redo this museum. And that's sad. Because Mayhew Cavern, to me, is just as equal as even more than Arbor Lodge and the Civil War Museum and Lewis and Clark. Right?
Right.
So people are going to... And now we're sitting in here in the last 12 years. We've had places go out of business. Well, we had a nice hardware store that went out of business. But the person died. Wenzel Hardware was a beautiful place to go.
Yeah.
But
unfortunately, he died.
But everything in there was old-fashioned. We're talking old-fashioned. When you got nails from him or screws, he didn't put them in a regular bag. He put them in a sack, a sugar sack, or a flour bag or something like that, right?
Right.
And he was always cool, neat to talk to. And you walk in there, well, any store you go into in Nebraska City, they know you by your name. They're not a number.
Yes, exactly. And that's how it should be.
Even the banks know you.
They should know you by name.
Even the banks.
Yeah. The banks know us by name.
Anybody.
You are not just a number.
So, when 12 years ago it went before the city council, it was fourth course of viaduct versus the swimming pool. And if you were on the city council, which way would you have gone?
The viaduct.
And why would you do that?
Well, because the viaduct would help people get to where they want to go quicker than what they could if the viaduct weren't fixed.
So was it for emergency services, was that a good idea to put the pool first or the...
Well, for the emergency services, the viaduct should have been put first so that the people who are on the emergency services could go to wherever it is they need to go more efficiently.
So which way did they have to go to get to Kearney Hill?
They had to go down Central.
And then cut back. And why was that a bad idea?
Well, because sometimes they had to wait on the train.
Okay. So while the viaduct was out, there was a couple businesses over on the other side, on the east side of town, which was losing business,
because of the viaduct.
so they ended up closing down,
Yeah,
going out of business.
yeah. They figured they're losing business, just as well shut down.
So they put, in that case, they were putting new over old, right?
All right.
And during this time, they were going to raise our tax. Well, they raised the taxes, the city tax, to build the pool. Okay. Now, the memorial building, they were talking about tearing down totally because of health issues and condemning it and knocking it down. But we saved that. That was done by donations and fundraisers, right?
Right.
We didn't raise our taxes for that,
True.
but they raised the taxes for the pool.
I know.
And now you got the new one coming out, which we're against, but it's too late. We can't fight it. And that was the rate increase of your utility bill.
Yeah.
And why did they increase the rate on your utility bill?
To pay for the new housing.
Yeah. Okay, now let's go back. Here's Mayhew Cavern. Desperately needing to be reopened.
I know. Probably wondering if they're ever going to get reopened.
So if you were on the city council now, would it be Mayhew Cavern, or would it be the new housing?
The Mayhew Cavern. Because that's history of Nebraska City. The new housing people could get grants for. They could look into getting a grant set up for the new housing.
And they're trying to get a railroad museum in town as well. So I think that if the city government is not benefiting it, if they're not going to get any benefit out of it, then are they going to vote for it?
No. They're not going to vote for it if they're not going to get benefited from it.
Okay. You listen to the city council like I do.
Yeah.
When we went through the hearing, the public hearing about the utilities going up, and people are against it,
Yeah.
and then the city government decided, no, just all the way across the board to go ahead and raise taxes. Tell me, what was your feeling towards the people trying to state their opinion and the city government?
Well, it seemed to me like the city government wasn't listening to the people that were trying to state how they felt about the taxes being raised.
Okay.
It seems like the city government only cares what they want to do. They don't care about the people. They just care about what they want. Which seems pretty selfish.
So do you think people are not going to register to vote or go attend city council meetings? Why do you think people are not going to go register to vote or get their IDs to vote or go to a city council meeting or anything like that? Why do you think people are not going to do that?
Well, I have the feeling that people are not going to register to vote because people are going to start to get to the point where, why should I register to vote? My opinion doesn't matter. And same way with the city council. Why go to a city council meeting? My opinion doesn't matter.
So, I know you're registered to vote, and we go to city council meetings. How do you feel? Because we've been to one where we talked about Arbor Day cleanup, and they got shot down, right?
Right.
How do you feel right now if you had to vote or register to vote? I mean, if you were not registered to vote, or if you got asked to go to a city council meeting today, or you're in the next city council meeting, how do you feel about that? Would you register to vote, or would you go to a city council meeting? What?
You mean about the Arbor Day cleanup?
No, just in general. Okay, with everything going on right now, our city government acting the way they are.
Yeah. Would I go out to register to vote
Would you go out to register to vote?
if I wasn't already a voter?
Right.
Probably not.
And why is that?
Well, because I'd feel like my opinion doesn't matter. Whatever I vote, it's not going to matter.
Okay. Would you, let's say you got invited to attend a city hall meeting on the first or third Monday of the month at 6 o'clock. Would you go? Or click on Zoom and watch it?
You mean with the way the city government's acting now?
Yep.
Well, I suppose I'd have to tell whoever it was who invited me, no, I'm not gonna go with you because my opinion doesn't matter. Whatever I say isn't gonna matter. So I'm not going.
Okay. Now, then I'm running for office for mayor, which is the city part of the city government. Would you start attending city council meetings?
If you were mayor?
If I got voted in to be mayor in the office,
Yeah.
what would you be willing, if somebody invited you to go to a city council meeting?
Yeah, I'd go.
If I was not your husband.
Even if you weren't my husband.
Okay.
I'd still go to the city council meeting.
Would you register?
Because I'd feel like I'm going to get listened to. What I say is going to get listened to.
Okay. Would you register to vote?
Yeah.
Would you?
And I would register to vote.
Would you encourage others to register to vote?
Yes, I would.
Would you encourage others to go to city council meetings?
Yes.
Okay. Go out and get your... So, now that I'm running for office, I'm just say, I am not not your husband. I'm not a family member. For say. Right?
Yeah.
What do you have to say to people if you to encourage them to vote?
Well, I suppose I'd tell people to go down to register to vote. And I'd encourage people to go and vote. Not just get registered, but go and vote.
Mm-hmm.
And I would encourage people to go to the city council meetings on the first and third Monday of each month at 6 o'clock.
So, give me 3 reasons why you would encourage them to do it.
Well, one reason I feel is because I don't know how I'd word this, but because would I say the mayor seems to care about what's going on in this town?
Now or after?
If you were a mayor, dear. If you were the mayor.
Okay. And I wasn't your husband.
Yeah, and you weren't my husband.
Okay. Okay. So what's the second reason?
The second reason is that the person where people will be listened to if they have any concerns or questions about the things that are going on.
Okay, the third thing?
And the third thing is, let's see, what would be the third thing? The third thing would be that I'm not sure what I'd say the third thing would be. Third thing would be that I wish I could think of a third thing.
It's tough because you just wrapped them up in probably 2.
I think I wrapped it up in 2.
Yeah. Well, so I am just going to end it on this note with the history of Nebraska City is being taken away by our city government, and they are expecting us to pay for their mistakes. And I think the pool rates need to have a cap on them because, good Lord, this it's already paid off. Let's give the middle class and the low income families a break. If anything should be raised, it should be corporate rates. Don't hit the little people, the low income. We have every right to go out and enjoy that pool. We have every right to enjoy the museums as much as anybody. What do you think?
I agree.
So, with everything going on now, how do you think we're going to keep the historical Nebraska City, keep its name as a historical?
Well,
You think we're going to lose it, or we're going to keep it?
well, I don't want to lose it, but it seems like with the way the city government's going, I suppose it seems like we may start to lose it.
So I feel, as Nebraska City citizens, we should all pull together, vote for a new change of mayor, city administration. I don't make promises, but I do make goals. So, closing this out, I have a Facebook page, 2 of them, and please visit them and comment. They are full of information, right?
Right.
So the first one is, what is my first Facebook page?
Candidate for Nebraska City Mayor Timothy Morgan.
Okay. And that has pictures of Jill and I dancing, interacting with the community. It has pictures of Christmas lights, parades, and it shows my meet and greet places, etc.
Yeah.
And then if you have questions for me, you can always visit this other page, which is
questions for NC Mayor Timothy Morgan.
Right. Or is it questions for a candidate, or is it just into?
I'm thinking it's questions for, I don't know if it's questions for candidate for NC Mayor Timothy Morgan.
Okay. Please, let's pull together and let's make Nebraska City a safe place to live and where people want to visit and start to live here, and then they'll continue to bring their families back to live with us, so they will make a life of themselves in Nebraska City. Just remember, I may be visually challenged, but not blindsided to city issues. But I'm also trying to make Nebraska City not just a living, but a life. See you next time.